So, Sam, Jax, what are we going to chat about this week, please?
Well, we said most people suck at content creation. And so this week we're going to get into the process around content creation, specifically using AI, generative AI. But I want to get into the nuts and bolts of the how-to. You were saying you want to get into something a bit different, more culturally relevant. I reckon we start with the news. What's going on?
Okay, well, obviously, we've pivoted a little bit in the podcast and we've tried to bring in more about AI over the kind of past few episodes as a way of helping improve the processes and the output in your business. And, that's a lot of theory, and we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of that, as you said, in a second. But I do love looking at the outcomes of this and kind of seeing what are the use cases and the kind of real life stories of how people are using generative AI in their business as a way of helping to inspire the people kind of listening and watching this to go and give it a go themselves. And also, I'm saying this to an engineer, it's all very well, right, looking at this stuff on paper, right? But when you lift your head up from the pulpit and look at the real world, sometimes people have gone off and done totally different things with the tool or the product or the service that you've created versus the one that you kind of have put down on paper. And I think looking at those real life cases is really important. So the first thing I want to say before we kind of kick off is what are we classing content creation as in this episode today? I mean, we've talked about text generation quite a lot. I guess image generation, video generation, music generation. What have you got on your list?
I think there's a clear spec for what content is. It's either text or media, isn't it? That's it. And then we have subclasses. So it's either text or it's video, picture. I guess we've got sound in there as well. But exactly as you said, from an engineering point of view, that you've got to classify these things with a tag. It's a type of file. So it's either text, video, picture, or sound. And I think you're exactly right. You look at the most famous examples of inventions throughout life. It's kind of where that tech engineer meets artist. Steve Jobs is the latest example for that. And then we've got Elon Musk with it. He's got the vision and doing his thing. So I think you're bang on the money here. I think you're going to come out with the art side, which is sexy when all said and done. No one cares about the engineering, apart from engineers.
Yeah.
It's just a way to get there. I don't care how you did it. Just care about the results. So go on. What you got?
Look, I've got one for you, right? So David Guetta, do you know who he is at all? He's a popular music DJ.
I've heard of him, yeah. I think I've seen him live, maybe.
Have you seen him live? Oh, wow. There we go.
I think so. It's Snowbombing.
Check you out.
Snowboarding music festival. I go to cool things. Doesn't make me cool, but...
not my cup of tea. You wouldn't have seen us going to a David Guetta gig back in the day. Yeah, Sam's wearing some cool glasses on our video right now.
Are these? Doesn't he wear blue light blockers?
They blue light blockers. No, he doesn't. He did a thing, which was he played out at one of his gigs recently, a track that seemed to have Eminem rapping at the beginning of it.
Right.
And essentially what he'd done is he deep faked Eminem's voice. The tune's called The Future of Music is in the AI, right? So we're going meta levels upon meta levels here. But he basically took an AI tool online, his own words, and replicated Eminem's vocals and then put that as a sample over the start of the track, which got the whole crowd really excited, And on one hand, you've got people thinking, wow, is that like a collaboration going on between David Guetta and Eminem? Who would have thunk it, But, no, David Guetta made it as a joke and it works and he was really happy how it went down. That said, though, wouldn't we all love to have a celebrity endorsement for our businesses in our content, right? We love to have the king just saying, yep, I royally approve Vicki Jakes and the Social Ad Squad, or, Elon Musk saying, Sam Jackson, his 7-hour systems process is the one you should be looking at online, right? There is something to be said about celebs being on your side, but, would they ever give their approval for that? And how much do they own their own voices in terms of kind of copyright? And is it ethically right to do that? And we're about to enter a kind of murky ground in terms of deep fakes in general and getting people who might have the potential to get some real clout for your business appearing on your content. I'm sure Eminem and the news that this event has garnered is, seen as kind of quite twee and, oh, well, it's David Guetta, he's kind of allowed, and his record company would probably put a ton of cash down towards Eminem's people to stop any lawsuits and things like that as well. But there's these lines that are blurring in terms of what we can do with other people's content, other people's features, other people's voices even, that we're going to go into because of generative AI.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome. I'm an Eminem fan. I listen in my car and sing along and think it's great. And I think even better if someone's remixed it. There's a few things that jump to mind. I think you're exactly right. Like that legal process, you can copyright, you can legally protect your likeness, can't you? So that's what's really interesting. But where does that stand? Because if I'm Sam, I'm Sam Jacks, my own person, and I want to start singing, I want to start recording stuff, and I'll listen to my favorite artists and I'll take notes from them. And we have seen legal cases from this, haven't we, where people have tried to copyright specific, rhythms and melodies in their songs and said, "Oh no, like I own that soundbite right there." And some of them have been successful, some of them aren't. But you can't. I think with AI, as we said the other episode when I was quoting what the IPO, International Patent Office, the UK government's arm that looks after legal matters like this, you can't regulate it's very difficult if you want to regulate and start putting legal parameters around maths, because that's what AI is. It's just maths. It's here's all this information, run some maths equations on it to create some new information. Now, that process, I think you can have a hard time regulating that, but you can start to say, well, no, hang on, that looks like a Disney character, a Marvel character. It looks like, in this case, it sounds like Eminem. Yeah, difficult, really difficult. But I think the get out of jail free card that I used previously was, well, the market will decide, and the market will decide. Where my head's at is, remember Napster and LimeWire? People wanted to stream music. People didn't want to pay.
I was a Kazaa girl. I was on Kazaa. That was my
one
weapon
of the cool
of choice. Yeah.
So these were illegal streaming sites at the time, but that's what people wanted. That's what the market wanted. So people didn't want to pay 20 quid for a CD. They didn't want to pay, what was it, like $1.79 to the iTunes store to download an MP3. They wanted to just stream it. And it wasn't that people were adverse to paying for it, but people were adverse to overpaying for it. And then Spotify came along and YouTube. And now there's loads and loads of stuff on YouTube that,
yeah.
If I was to bet, I would say, well, that's where we're going to head. But it's crazy exciting.
Yeah, I mean, well, so the thing is, like, with content creation at the moment, like, if you want a piece of content created for your business, you have to write it, you have to get someone to take a picture, you have to get someone to film it and someone to edit it, right? And if you want an influencer or an endorsement or, sponsorship or something like that, you have to go out and pay for it. And what AI is doing in its clever way, generative AI is doing, is going out there and scraping all the freely available information that's out there and creating content for you that is original and allows you to promote your business without like employing one of those types of people, and does what kind of David Guetta's done with Eminem there. It's remixed publicly available content and created a new product out of it, essentially. And that's, for me, I totally agree with you, Sam, right? That is the exciting place that we're at with content at the moment. It's like this democratization of content creation ability. So if you're a business owner and you've always wanted to have a rapping jingle over one of your videos, or create beautiful art imagery for the banner on your website, or write really great content about a particular subject, you can get generative AI to kind of help you out with that. But what's kind of coming out like every day in the news is stories like this that just should be making it sort of like think about how we're doing that remixing. I've got another one for you that's come out this week, and this one hit all the news yesterday, day before. There's a deep fake advertisement for let's call it a male enhancement product, shall we? If you get my drift.
I get your drift.
That was running as an ad on TikTok, and it looked like Joe Rogan, and it was Joe Rogan promoting this particular product.
Or Big Joe, as he may be known in this ad.
yeah. And it went viral. It went viral because of that. And it looks like Joe Rogan. Like, I don't know if they've put the deepfake voice over like a clumsily edited video of him, but it sounds like him. And I saw another version where he was talking to Dr. Andrew Huberman. And they'd edited it when he'd gone on Joe Rogan's podcast, and they'd edited it so it looked like Huberman was asking Joe Rogan a specific question, and then Joe Rogan's the deep faked voice was talking about, yeah, well, have you seen this product online? You just need to go to Amazon, search for it. It'll be at the top. Da, 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 da. And like, I swear, I'm really good at looking at these things, but there was a good 3 seconds where I was like, what? No. And I had to go through that process of questioning it, because I would never see Andrew Huberman promoting products like that. You know, that guy's a science man, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he runs a lab, doesn't he, out of San Diego? Or he's Dr. Huberman. Right, so I've got the thing here. Joe Rogan. This is a quote from a news website, not a very credible one, but hey, Joe Rogan is known to read a few sponsored ads at the beginning of his podcast, but a video of him promoting a libido booster for men is a deep fake, and people fear this is the start of new scams and a wave of misinformation. The eerily deep clip shows Rogan discussing the brand Alpha Grind. What a name. With guest Professor Andrew D. Huberman on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Cool. I'm trying to find the actual ad here, and everywhere's blocked it. So it's quite difficult. But there's a lot of people going, oh my God, how is this legal? This can't be real. Like, the reactions are just petrol on the fire. Wow.
Well, okay, but this, exactly, petrol on fire. Like, this is just reactions. I mean, the startup is a company called Dessa, right? I don't know if you'd seen on the My First Million podcast with the guys. They talked about it on there previously. I think they'd had Joe Rogan and Steve Jobs talking to each other, I think.
Yeah, I'd seen that. It was pretty good.
Yeah, so I think that had come out from those guys. But yeah, like, you know, that if you are a celebrity and you are known for endorsements, like Joe Rogan, I hope, should be having the right discussions with people online right now, because he could be sponsoring thousands of things all at once without having to get in the studio and record them, a la Matt Berry in Toast of London, you know, constantly in the studio, like doing voiceover recordings. Like, he could just license his voice and you know, have that go around the world, like promoting products. And all him or his people have to do is say, yeah, that product's fine. No, that product isn't. And the potential for us as business owners to access celebrity endorsement like that on a massive scale is really exciting. And, you know, that's the kind of good thing that AI can do from a content generation point of view, but only if it's controlled properly and he's given his permission and da-da-da-da.
So I'm right there with you. I think there's the opportunity side of this. The initial side is, as with any change, as with any unknown, is going to be, I haven't got time to assess this. Ban, stop, kill it, like, don't do it. But this is where the opportunity is. And in my mind, these guys have missed a trick here it's an awesome thing that they've built and put out there, whoever's done it. But the opportunity is for a media agency, surely, to say, right, look, this is going to happen. And it's going to happen in a hacky, uncontrolled, black hat marketing kind of realm, unless you go on the offense. And the offense is you set yourself up as a member of a platform, and we'll be that platform. We'll host it for you. We'll just take a little carry. We'll take 2-3% of every transaction, and people can come in and just license your AI likeness. We'll provide them. We'll download all of your content. We'll do our best to censor it and to your standard, put some certification around it, you know, some tailoring process to only put the best stuff in. And then you can either accept or reject all these offers that come in and manage all of these ads in one portal. And it literally will take one member of your team to generate millions of pounds of revenue for you. Like, that's the play here, isn't it? For all of these influencer type people.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe we should build that.
Well, just from a content creation point of view, you know, the reason I wanted to mention them is because the potential right now for businesses is more than just using Chat GPT to write you some blog posts, right? I mean, that is great and everything, but in my mind's eye, we ain't going to be searching Google for information in 2-3 years time, right? So what's the point in writing blog posts right now? You should be doing video, you should be doing something that's going to like endorse you in an authentic way, show you in a real way in your business. If you're going to go down a particular marketing track, there are tools out there that can help you do that and do it in a really creative way as well.
I really want to geek out on the process and like how this changes what you do now to what. But before we do, let's just riff a little bit more on like this David Guetta Eminem thing. So what's happened there is someone has created something people want with less effort than was previously required. Like that's the system equation. People want something. There's a process that would have required millions of pounds to be exchanged. Eminem in the studio, get that voice. David Guetta then remix it, goes to a concert. Actually, what's happened is David Guetta's just gone in the studio, clicked a few extra buttons, maybe another, let's speculate, I don't know, half an hour. I'm belittling his skill and talent here on it, but a few extra buttons.
I don't know. Like I saw him at where was it? I saw him at the Brits, and he definitely looked like he was checking his email on the stage. But just
well, it's just a MacBook Pro, isn't it? Right. Yeah. Okay. So his extra button, and he's captured millions of pounds of value, which is the production cost, I imagine, of some Eminem content. There, really amazing, but. I think if you just extrapolate that out and you start to look at, well, this sort of on-demand is what people want. On-demand likeness of stuff I want to listen to, whether that's a person, whether that's a narrative, whether that's a type of music or type of content. Where that ultimately goes to is you don't log into Netflix and see the recommendations. You don't log into Disney or go to the cinema for a set of recommendations or Spotify. You go on and you say, well, this is what I like. Generate something for me. Like, give me something brand new, unique, and I'll do you a song that remixes Rihanna, David Guetta, and a bit of Ludovico Iron Audi because you like some piano music as well, and I'll make an awesome song out of that. I know you like Marvel, and I know your favorite character is Iron Man, and I know you kind of like, I don't know, sci-fi movies. I mean, they're all kind of in this, and I'll create you a Iron Man 16.
I know, like that's where AI algorithms for massive content libraries like Netflix and Apple and everything kind of go to, because it's easier to curate content when you roughly know like the kind of interests of a user. But people we take our head up from the paper here and look out. People are weird and complex, and they want to be challenged with their tastes, and they want to find out new things. And I think that's why TikTok has done so well from an algorithmic point of view, because you're not just seeing the content from your bubble or the same people. It is suggesting the weirdest from around the world, and I've been able to see TikToks from Korea, from China, from India, and I would never get served that type of content on Facebook, for example. I mean, it's only now on Netflix, for example, that, I see a lot more K-drama, I think it's called, isn't it? Like Korean drama, because of Squid Game, and we all in the world said, we love Squid Game. And then Netflix has decided to open up that content and show that worldwide a little bit more. I just think people, especially people who are audiophiles, or real movie buffs, they want to be challenged with brand new content. And that has to be factored in, I think, in content generation somehow.
Yeah, I mean that's like how the UX is going to happen, isn't it? So at the moment, we have this input. All of these movies are made at millions of pounds, and they're made speculatively, typically on these series. There's pilot series, and they're produced, but they're made in anticipation that people might like them. Then there's this process that we, the user, goes through, which is, oh, that's interesting, or that's different. We decide we like it, and then the output is we watch it, and the subscription revenues split across all of these movies we like. It might not be within that frame of Netflix or Spotify or the big platforms anymore. It might be a different platform, and one of those inputs is now going to be into another function box, which is to create the new thing. And it might not be that it's an input on all the movies we've watched previously. It might be an input on the type of day we've had, and if you've got a cold, or if you've just gone through a breakup, or all these other like bits of data that can be scraped off you. But I'm saying that a computer's going to prompt you with a set of selections, and one of those might be, I want something different, and you go, okay, here's something that's the other end of the spectrum. But I'm saying a computer is going to be serving that up rather than some programmer or editor. And when I say programmer, I mean like, someone that traditionally would sit in the BBC doing the programming. Right, this is going to be on at 7:00 every night.
A scheduler, yeah.
A scheduler, yeah. And I imagine there's a similar sort of role that exists in these streaming platforms. So,
yeah. Well, you know what? This point has actually brought up something that I was chatting about with someone on Twitter this week, which was he was asking, Robert Blake, who's a big YouTuber, he was asking whether people would pay for a guide with a bunch of chat GPT prompts that would help you ask the tool like better questions to get a better output for how to create YouTube videos, because that's his niche, right? And I said, well, I would just ask chat GPT to write those prompts for me. And his counter argument to that was, yeah, but you don't know what you don't know. So there's a time value there of you having to go in and learn how to ask it and set if this, then that kind of parameters in your question, and rules in your questioning, essentially. And at the moment, I think that is the kind of the pickaxes that are being sold during the gold rush kind of thing, and the rise of kind of prompt engineering, if you like, or prompt content marketing, where the people who know a little bit more than our laggards that we've spoken about before, who are just kind of catching on at the end of this trend, your Daily Mail reader who's like, oh, what's all this AI fuss, and their kids are telling them about ChatGPT or whatever. Like, these people need something like that, like need guides or whatever. And that will turn into a cottage industry, I think, where if you are a prompt writer or a prompt engineer, you're probably going to be able to make a bit of money for the next few years. We're still in that kind of human intervention stage of content creation at the moment, I think.
Oh, I agree with you. It's like anyone can open up a Google Sheet or Excel and type some figures in, but then there's a skill to writing all the formula and formatting and pivot tables and charts and whatever else. So it's probably such a large market that you've got to anticipate there's going to be huge innovation in this space because the opportunity is so big. And maybe now we've said, like, okay, here's some cool stuff that's happening, a bit of news. We could get into, well, so what? What does that mean to me every day? Like, I've got a business and I'm trying to get some traffic. And you were saying before, like, about, well, why blog if we're just going to look at search? We're just going to look at social. And I think that's a really interesting point, because at the moment, for SEO, let's say you want to write an SEO blog post about a finance topic. Like hell, you're ever going to rank against one of these credit cards, unless it's a super long niche keyword. One of these £1 billion of finance industries, what's just think of it in terms of budgets. They are happy to spend 100, 200, £250,000 a year just on SEO, an SEO team, and all they do is rank for the best credit card in the northwest of England for buying my couch. Like, they're going in hard on that, and it's a different type of content to be on social. So I guess probably going to brush over this, but what we're saying is the content game, you stand a chance of competing in on the different social media platforms. You stand a chance of building your 1,000 true fans, of building your niche audience around your niche insight on your industry, on your thing. I think that's probably like an important preface to how you then go and do it all.
Yeah, I mean, though, to this point, though, it just depends, right? Because if content generation for you as a business, as a tool, right, is like a marketing tool, it helps educate, inform, build trust, all of that type of thing. And you've already been creating that, then maybe what AI can do is help expedite your visibility on certain social platforms, right? Because, the assumption is people like listening to this are already doing marketing. They are creating content, but maybe not creating brand new content fast enough to get it out and ping the algorithms of social platforms and of search platforms to get seen correctly, right? Without necessarily having to spend money on ads. And like that, I think like that's the type of content that we're talking about here potentially, right?
Totally agree with this. I do think it's important though, to just set the ground rules. Let's do our favorite go-to case study, candle business. Like, let's say candles for men. So I've got my candle business for men, the mandals. I'm selling mandals, fire in a jar.
The sweaty smell you always wanted.
Yeah, okay. Well, cedar wood and things like that, man smells.
WD-40.
Yeah, WD-40, diesel oil. Yeah. I'd buy those candles. Yeah. Right. So I've got to come up with a content strategy, and so for a business, you might already know your niche, and we're just picking one here, and so you know the type of topics that will hit, but. Very practically, if let's call it the old-fashioned way, the traditional way at this point is go, all right, candles. So for men, how old are they? 35 to 45. Okay, and what's their day-to-day look like? Oh, well, they come home from a labouring job and they sit down and have a beer, and you could map out these things. And you go, okay, right, well, we're starting to get our content pillars now. We come up with 12 or 15 examples of things that would be interesting to this demographic, this person, and we start to say, different smells, different use cases, and we write our content around that. I think we'd agree that that's probably the process you go through so far, and then come up with some appropriate images, and then you're roughly trying to schedule a couple pieces of content a day that go out. So
written content, and we're talking on blogs, right? With an aim to get ranked on search engines, or from a social point of view, with an aim for one post to go viral or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, just let's just say it's just keeping our audience engaged. Just saying, hey, we're here. Anyone that follows us, likes us, and we just rough day at work, kick back with a beer and a mandel, like as an example. Like,
oh my god, guys, this is the product of the year.
And it's a picture of our product. Let's say, I think you even with the graphic content. You're always going to start with this brainstorming process where you come up with all the ideas. But that's what we're talking about there is quite labor intensive. I mean, let's say you're putting out 2 pieces of content a year, 700 and odd pieces of content you've got to create, with a bit of writing and a graphic. Whereas with AI, we start to get rid of some of that labor. So should we go into that process, what that process then looks like?
Well, what are you doing at the moment for that? Like, how are you?
Well, for me, I don't have any social stuff that is validated. So my validated lead gen business for saunas, that's all SEO. That's all SEO traffic. And I'm now looking at that going, a little bit vulnerable here. And that very mathematically generated. It's literally, okay, well, what keywords get enough traffic to be worth ranking for? Which ones can I compete for? Okay, we write a blog post around that, and I use an SEO tool, which is Surfer SEO, which basically says, these are all the keywords that need to be in this piece of content. I then, at the moment, use Jasper AI, which is powered by GTP3, and say, write me an outline. And it writes me an outline. Write me an introductory paragraph. And when I say I actually have someone in my team that does this, that follows this process. And then it gets this SEO score, and then we have a bit more other SEO techniques where you interlink content, whatever. But then it goes live. And about 10 pieces of content like that go out every single week. And
okay, but the thing is, right, this is to challenge specific problems with search marketing, right? Because in search marketing, we've all studied, well, we as in people who have worked in search, we've studied the Google algorithm and understood, because Google's got the market share, right, compared to others, and understood that it's all about keyword-rich content that's published on a consistently regular basis, and that's got the chance of you getting picked up by Google for those particular keywords and ranking for those keywords when a user's searching for them, right? And absolutely, AI, you can utilize AI to help you churn out that written content and get picked up. Great. And that all depends on the end result, right? Which is your ideal customer going to be searching for a business like yours? Some, absolutely, they're going to be looking for a plumber near me, right? I always use that as an example. I'm going straight to Google to find a plumber near me if I don't know one, right? I want that phone number to show up. Are they going to be Googling man candles? Probably not, right? Just using our example, right, from before. And so knowing the outcome, knowing where your ideal customer is living online, ready to be served that type of product is really important here, because you could spend the next year generating 1,000 blog posts using AI and still never get seen. And instead you have to think about the content that ideal customer would engage with. And that's probably going to be they're cocking around on social and they see a candle pop up, maybe as a video in between, a reel or a TikTok in between other TikToks that they're looking at. We're talking about our guy here. He's 45. He's just taking a long half an hour in the toilet to go and scroll some videos, right? I'm nailing him properly here. And, you can't just show a candle to him because he doesn't have the buying power in his house, right? That all the weekly shopping's still, after all these years, still done by the missus, right? But he does have buying power when he wants to. He's got an Amazon account and stuff. So how are you going to engage with him in that moment to make him feel great? And this is the other use of how you can use AI to help your content, because I'm not a comedy writer. I like to think I'm really funny, by the way, hello. But I'm not a comedy writer. But I could go to ChatGPT and ask it to write me a funny 1-minute script to sell a man candle.
Who's the guy that my guy respects? The funny guy or girl? Like, what voice are we doing here?
Yeah, right? You could create something funny and you could get Gary Lineker deep fake voice over the top, or something like that, and create content. Like previously, you would have had to have gone to a big ad agency in that London to create for you. But but you could do yourself. I mean, it's kind of AI, but it's not. But it is. But it's not. There are inbuilt tools into Reels, TikTok, and a few other kind of third-party tools like CapCut as well, where you just load your images in, and it will sync your images and videos to music, and then put stuff on the top for them, and then you've created a video advert then as well. But again, it depends on the outcome. Like, if you know your people are on Twitter and that's where they hang out and that's where they talk, that's where they share information and insights, your game is going to be about writing funny, noticeable, scroll-stopping tweets, right? I know that's what you're going through at the moment. And again, you can use ChatGPT to kind of give you loads of ideas for kind of how to do that. But then let's think about the more kind of drier, boring world, right? And I was just talking about this morning with someone. What if you're selling concrete, Sam? You're selling concrete at an industrial level, and you're selling your concrete to another much bigger industrial type company. How is AI going to help you with your content? I mean, it can write your brochures. It can create the exhibition stand that you're going to exhibit at that big Concrete R Us exhibition that's held every year at the NEC in Birmingham. I don't know.
It's funny, isn't it? Because everyone, the haters of AI are saying it takes away the human element, it's a robot. But to your point, it actually gives more creativity. So that concrete company's got some intern that's going, well, I've got a few wacky ideas that might just work, but can you give me a budget to do a knockoff of XY personality, football person, whatever's appropriate? AI allows you to generate those concepts and test them very, very quickly. And when we're saying AI, ChatGPT or GPT-3 plugged into whatever front end, and then, like you say, there's the tools out there that you can then, once you've got your little bit of text, you can turn it into a video with Synthesia, or you can edit up the video and the script with Descript, which is another generative tool. It essentially is making a lot of the process that you had to do before: create text, create image, create video, edit text, edit image, edit video. It's streamlining that, whatever your platform or vertical or domain of expertise is: concrete, candles.
What I think we're not quite there with at the moment, though, in terms of filling the gap with creating content for business owners, is original imagery, like original looking photorealistic content. Like you can program a chat GPT stable diffusion tool to talk to each other and create social posts that take a cartoon or a painted or a drawing looking image and then put, a quote or information about your business over the top of it. And you could, in 2 seconds flat, create a year's worth of flat social post content, right? Brilliant. But if you wanted to create like realistic looking people using your product, we're still a way off of that at the moment. I mean, DALL-E, by the way, is my go-to image generation tool. So that's owned by OpenAI, who look after ChatGPT. And DALL-E is just great. Like you can create like beautiful illustrations and paintings, and even their 3D modeled stuff looks pretty good. We're currently using a DALL-E generated image for one of our clients at the ad agency because one of her motifs in her business is red high heels. So we wanted to talk about climbing the corporate ladder. So that we've got two really good photorealistic high heels looking like they're climbing a ladder. By the way, we had to go through 30 of these because on one, the heel's coming out the side of the ladder. On another, there's like 3 legs. On another, the ladder's, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't a ladder going up, It's just some real bonkers images, right? But out of all of those, AI got it right twice. And we were able to take those images and run with them. And they were like super popular, which is great. But that luck that we had with those 2 images came out of 2 hours of operator time, going in and trying different prompts, trying different ideas. And I've yet to, as someone who's been using it myself, see faces that don't terrify you for the rest of your life come out of DALL-E. Like on YouTube, one of the thumbnails when we first started talking about AI is a DALL-E generated image of you and I podcasting. It's terrifying. No offense to you, but you look like you're about to stab me up in the picture, and I look like I'm not very clever, if you get what I mean. But we're a way off of that at the moment, and I feel like that's what businesses need. If you don't have like a photorealistic image of your own product, or you can't create, you only work with people and you can't create photorealistic people, how much painting or illustration based content can we create? We want to connect with like real people, real photographs, right?
Yeah, so I've just put in our little chat dialogue box a couple of links for you to look at whilst we have this chat.
Ooh.
So I too have been playing around, obviously. Let's just go back to basics. So current state, you want a picture of your product that requires a photographer or someone with a camera to take a decent picture and then edit that up in whatever tool, Photoshop, Adobe, whatever else. You want a picture of a person with that product or a TikTok of a video with that person with the product. You've got to pay. I mean, I was looking at this for my sauna business. I was like, well, we should really get on TikTok, and what we want is probably someone in some yoga outfit talking about all the stuff about our saunas. Like, that's my ideal. So I got a few quotes. I was looking at like £400 for, I think, 3 TikToks, 3 1-minute face to camera off my phone TikTok. And I'm like, oof, that's pricey, but I need this person all the time. And, what if I don't get on with this person? I've got to change the brand, and the person's going to become part of the brand. And how do you do all this? And I also went into DALL-E and a few others and went, person in a sauna. And we got some weird saunas out there and some weird people. And it's always the hands. They've always got like 8 fingers, or they're weird shapes.
Yeah, it can't process eyes and hands correctly.
So this is where the prompt engineering comes in, because I've been connecting with these AI people, and a few of them that are just getting really good at prompts, and they're using the off-the-shelf tools that already exist. And there's a few of them. One guy, I'm trying to find his name, and I can't for the life of me find him, has set up a modeling agency, and all of his models are AI.
Oh.
So, what do you want your model to be wearing? Give me your brand. Okay, cool. I'll send you the photo. So, let's just say current state. well, I have to employ a model, have to get them wearing the thing, have to get them in front of a camera.
So expensive. Makeup,
Yeah, price of that.
lighting, all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, how much does that cost? And I'll generate 100 images for you, and then which I found really interesting. And then Nomad List. Nomad List. You familiar with Nomad List?
No.
So digital nomads, people that travel around the world, work remotely.
Yeah, I know what a digital nomad is. Yeah.
Our kind of people. He's got the biggest job board in the world for nomads. Anyway, cool businesses. He started building photo tools. This particular one, photoai.io, where he's basically said, okay, I've nailed some of the prompts. I will create a few of my own lookalike images, and you can say, take this fake person. I've kind of got you all the way there. I've removed all the extra fingers. I've removed the extra eyes. I've made it look like a kind of like a person. Use that now to just edit up, make them wear your top. I can add in a big background, a small background. We can take them from a left angle, from a right angle. You can put them in a location. If you want, you can load in your own photos and we use that as a starting base. So he's kind of built in some of this prompt hacking we spoke about. And he only launched this literally last week.
I mean, I'm just looking now, and like there's a shot here of like 4 male model looking types in a green t-shirt, and it's incredible how my eye can see where there's issues, I think, because it's just a fraction too smooth under the jawline. But it doesn't matter if you're running an ad out or if you're trying to just represent something really quickly.
It's unreal. I mean, these photos are Instagram models, aren't they? Like,
yeah,
they're incredible.
In a way, like being able to repurpose someone who's done all of the prompt work for you and kind of piggyback off of like their knowledge, I think is the next level for content creation, because I definitely don't have the time to sit down and learn how to use Stable Diffusion properly. And I've started and I've asked ChatGPT to teach me, but it's a long road, right? And, you know, it comes with you having to create tables of if this, then that type Boolean data, and then train the AI to kind of understand what should happen when this outcome happens, what should happen when this outcome happens. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff you have to input in order to get an outcome, just like programming, right? Just like software. And yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm a convert now to like buying into the prompts that are coming out right now from various online entrepreneurs.
Yeah, big time. So if you've got a business, like the way you can save is that you can get all of these images, branded images and text that represents your brand. So in the same way that you can feed in images to make branded images, you can feed in text, like all of the tweets or all the posts you've ever put out previously, and now produce those. So the time saving there is having to pay someone or do it yourself or have someone in your team full time, and this is all they do, to a week or 2 weeks worth of effort, either from someone that understands the brand or an agency. You can create a year's worth of content very quickly. And these sort of services are starting to spin up, but if you're proactive, you could do it yourself. I think there's a business opportunity though here, a quick one, an easy one. So people have already spoke about like Shutterstock and Photo Bucket, these big places where you can go and buy stock footage, how they're going to get disrupted, or people are just going to sell AI creations on there. There's a smaller one that I've put on here. I put it in the chat, called undraw.co. It's a load of images that you can use that are, let's see, like they're kind of like logos, but they're lower key. They're just usually 2 colors, a black and a blue is for the most part. And it's like Pilates, and it's quite clearly like an image of someone doing Pilates, or buy my car, or so they're all these logos, useful stuff.
Yeah, like sort of the type of imagery that you'd put on a website to explain a section or something like that. It's like very twee looking, quite nice.
Exactly. You could just knock this off and do your version of Undraw, but for a specific niche. So for candles, for instance, you could just have like all the candle stock images, lighting a candle in the bathroom, a candle in the bedroom. Like you could create all of these logos using AI or something similar. And I don't know how these guys make money. Presumably you can donate, or do they sell?
I think they're asking for tips at the moment, so they haven't monetized. But Sam, like, can I just say, as an old lady of the internet, I was around at the beginning when Shutterstock became a business, And I used to work for Creative Review magazine. So still going. It's a magazine that is designed for the ad industry, right? And it goes out to creatives, creative directors, graphic designers, that type of thing. And it's based in the UK. The type of ads I had to sell to put into the magazine was I worked with typography companies, I worked with brands like Canon, but I also worked with stock image libraries as well. And Getty came along. Getty were the massive player in the early noughts. And they disrupted the entire photography industry back then by creating Getty images, and brought up all the small image libraries, the specialist ones, hoovered them up, and then sort of Shutterstock came out as a kind of big, fresher alternative to them. Photographers at the time were lamenting the loss of the industry, especially because the old analog ways were being replaced by, digital SLRs and editing on computers and things like that. And there was a real worry at the time from photographers about that, and that they wouldn't have jobs. I mean, of course, they still had jobs. They could move over to digital and then decide to sell their work to image libraries rather than to like businesses direct. And I can't see Shutterstock, the behemoth they are, allowing themselves to be disrupted. I imagine that they are trying to find ways to generate their own imagery.
Maybe the business will still exist and they'll just generate their own stuff exactly like you say. I guess what I'm saying is there's change afoot. A couple of other business ideas that I think, if someone's looking for something to do to start up, you could set up a subscription service for content, and where someone signs up with a face that they like and a brand they like, and every week they get 5, 6, 7 images that take you 2 minutes to produce because you understand the AI tools. And some paid service, hey, every week, because we said at the beginning, most people suck at content because the content game is largely put something out of reasonable quality. Like, that's the base level. Most people aren't even doing that.
Yeah.
There's a good way and a bad way to do that, obviously.
Yeah, well, there's a few types over on Twitter who are now content agencies, and all they're doing is just generating any old shit out of ChatGPT and selling that to clients. And I think that quality question comes into play massively. Like, just because you can get AI to generate it for you doesn't mean it's going to be quality. Our point, weird faces in DALL-E and eight fingers, right? So there still needs to be curators. There still needs to be people with a creative eye to deliver this stuff and oversee it. It's just the physical creation at the time is what we're experiencing the process of here. I do think, though, that there are some things that we won't be able to replace with AI.
Go on. What are they?
Well, we're talking at the beginning about David Guetta and Eminem, but do you see, like, just before Christmas, Nick Cave was quoted in the news about his thoughts on the ChatGPT generated lyrics, Nick Cave lyrics that were coming out.
Who's Nick Cave?
Nick Cave from Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. He's like super famous indie rocker, Sam. I'm so sad you don't know who Nick Cave is.
Not very cultured.
You would know he did the theme tune for Peaky Blinders, the Red Right Hand. Yeah. And he's known for being a fratch grumpy and very intense in his lyrics. So he definitely has a style, very passionate, very dark. And lots of people were asking ChatGPT to create, lyrics in the style of Nick Cave. And he wasn't very impressed about it. He sort of said, that hell has come, basically. I feel like there is something about having the real person attached to their art that makes it the art it is. You can get ChatGPT to generate Beatles lyrics from John Lennon, but it's when John Lennon's standing there singing them that, the hairs raise on the back of your arm. I think there's that human element that we can't replace in our content generation.
I can totally see how that argument could be made. I'm still very much debating it. So I think maybe, strong maybe. I'm talking with a couple of doctors in the States that are anaesthetists, because they are moving into the world of AI. And you go, what? That doesn't make any sense. And backpedal a little bit. So I've been trying to get my head around this data science AI malarkey at a technical level and reading all these, AI for Dummies books. And looking at the maths, which is mind blowing. I can't follow it, honestly. And then I've got a young son, and we're going to be having another child. We don't know the sex yet, later this year. And I've been thinking really hard about, well, what is a thought? Like, what is consciousness? It's really deep stuff to contemplate here. And talking to these guys in the States that are talking about anesthetizing people, scientifically, consciousness is largely an illusion, and the thoughts that we have are largely just connections in our brain. So I guess where I get to is like, well, hypothetically, can you recreate that? Like, I think the truth is that scientifically, we don't know, because when you put someone to sleep and you turn them off for a bit whilst you perform surgery, we still don't actually know how that works. And we still don't, you listen to our mate Huberman, Professor Huberman, he says, oh yeah, there's a hell of a lot of this, system, neuroscience, that we still don't really understand. And so I'm in the strong guy. Well, I don't know. Can you recreate John Lennon in the form of AI? Could you upload him one day to the cloud? And can he I don't know. Like, seems feasible that maybe it's possible. But right now at this moment, I think I would agree with you. Like, yeah, we can't yet replace a human with a cyborg. No. And yeah, ain't the same.
No, it's not.
One day, maybe.
Who knows? Like, you've got ABBA doing the hologram stuff on stage in that West End show, haven't you? I haven't seen it. It's not my cup of tea. But like, people have been asked not to film it and stuff, so it's hard to sort of see what it looks like. But that if you can sell a 90-minute show of people who aren't there on the stage doing their thing, that's great. But I'm talking about original content, from an original artist. Like, that remains to be seen if we get like those type of content creators in the future. Like, content creators on YouTube and TikTok who are 100% virtual, creating content. They have their own name, their own personality. That's to come as well, isn't it? And you could, as a business, like, have that avatar to do that work and that representation of your business for you, potentially.
I'm nostalgic. I've got a record player here that was my grandfather's, and a load of records from 1930s, 1940s. Honestly, Spotify is usually what's on, and they've been played half a dozen times. I'd like to say, yeah, that's the way to go. But I think the market will decide. And if I was going to bet, we're going virtual. We're going Ready Player One. We're going to the metaverse. It's just time. But we'll see. This will be our theme. This is what we're going to be talking about. And more importantly, how you implement it. Like, how do you do it?
Yeah. Well, I think let's end it there. I think that was a really good chat about like content and, some of the use cases and, what you can use content, AI generated content for as a business right now. I think, there's just so many tools to go out there and have fun with. So we'll link as many as we can that we chatted about today in the show notes underneath, and keep experimenting, right, Sam?
Yeah, definitely. Very quickly, I forgot to mention at the top, the listener's promise. This is
Are you stealing this?
I am stealing this. You know exactly what I'm stealing. So the listener's promise, if you've listened to this and enjoyed it, then the deal is you head over to YouTube and you subscribe and like. That's all we ask. You can have this content for free. We're never going to paywall it. I don't think.
No.
We're never going to paywall it. It'll be on Spotify. It'll be on wherever you listen to this for free. But all we ask in return is you head over to YouTube, like the video, subscribe.
Come and subscribe. Come on. Come and subscribe. We're on 100 and something.
125.
Oh, that's really good. So we've got a name. I've got it on my wall in front of me as well. We'd love to get to 200. So if you haven't subscribed to us, come and do it over on YouTube. And we'll come and create even more. Go on.
Do us a favour, because we're spending loads of time, money, effort in making this podcast available. YouTube is a nice, easy way to fund that. So if you can help us get up.
Do one button clicky. Yeah, that's all you need to do. All right, cool. And people can find you online where, Sam?
Twitter's the best place at the moment. You can see I'm experimenting with a few ideas over there. So at Jax_Sam, drop me a DM, say hello. And Vicki, where are you?
Still on Twitter. I've come back. I'm on Hey Vicki Jakes. Come and find me tweeting about the Brits and cats at the moment.
You've put out some good stuff lately.
Yeah, thanks. I'm just having fun. That's all I'm doing on social. I just have fun. So, all right, cool. Thanks, Sam. See you next week.
All right. Till next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.